The sun is shining in the sky, hardly a cloud in sight, and we are going to have a fantastic race here today.
Drivers, start your engine! Cause we want retribution! We want retribution!
But coming to the green, you're getting clean out real well. Pace car's off, kick some ass.
There's the green flag, and we're underway.
Green, 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 green. Outside, still there at your door. Good job, man. Nice and solid. Take care of yourself.
Three wide.
Here, Hawkins into the wall.
Oh, big trouble!
Crash in the back. Oh, there's a crash in the back.
Trouble.
Great job doing awesome, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the Rockingham Speedway to bring you live action of the second race of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. It is the Verizon 400. We had ourselves a very fantastic Daytona 500, despite it being caution-free and, you know, not a whole lot of action, you know, to say the least, when it comes down to post green flag pit stops right around the halfway point. But in the end, it saw Martin Nixon going on to claim his first Pepsi Cup Series win and the Daytona 500 as well. I mean, obviously in the Daytona 500, but as of tonight, Martin Nixon is not in this race. He failed to qualify for tonight's event yesterday right here at the Rockingham Speedway. So it is going to be very interesting to see if, I mean, obviously we're going to have a second different winner here tonight, but the only question is, who is going to be that second different winner after 197 laps of action here at the Rockingham Speedway? It's the first time in 2 years since we've been here. Of course, if you recall, back in 2023, we ran this race under the sunlight. Of course, it came down to Haley Curris and Emmanuel Hartnett for the race win, but unfortunately, Curris was not able to hold off the veteran experience of Emmanuel Hartnett, and he went on to win his third Pepsi Cup Series race of his career. He is third of his career, of course, and as well, on top of that, he did also, because he's also one of the most winningest drivers in WRLA as of right now. But it should be very good. Of course, GR Game Time, thank you so much for the tier 1, and as well as Nia Games, thank you so much for the raid. I really do appreciate it. So glad that you guys could be here with us here tonight. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take a look at your point standings coming into tonight's race from here at the Rockingham Speedway. You'll notice that Claire Phillips has a 10-point cushion over Campbell Marsh. That's because since Martin Nixon won the Daytona 500, those 10 bonus points that you normally would get, those part-timers don't get that. So they would revert to the second place car that is full-time. Claire Phillips happened to be in the right spot at the right time, so she starts out as the points leader. As we scroll through the rest of your point standings right here, of course, this isn't exactly how the standings are going to be because it's still very early in the season. So there's still a very good chance that all these drivers could still get some really good finishes and kind of, you know, just progress their way up through the point standings, because at this juncture of the season, it is very, very easy to, you know, to go from, say, from Alex Bonsior's case, or even as we look on the next page here, we probably might see some other drivers that are very, very deep in the points. He's a little bit deeper than Bonsignor. Yep, right there. Of course, we take a look at Stapleton, Steidel, Caleb Rose, Sebastian Vaughn, Val Mosco, Ryan Little. All of those drivers could still have really good runs here tonight and turn their season around in a heartbeat. Maybe 2 back-to-back really good races will put them right in the top 15, top 20 in the point standings, maybe even top 10 if they get the right amount of points. But it is definitely going to be a very fun one here at the Rockingham Speedway. The early going of the season is always my favorite part because there's so many shakeups that happen in the standings, and there's so many changes that happen So many changes, so many implications early in the going, and that kind of sets the tone for some of these drivers. It's either you could have yourself a really good start to your season, and you could catapult up the point standings and kind of just stay there. You could also have yourself a terrible kind of have a bad start, but also kind of just have somewhat struggle. But you could struggle and then rebound just like that after 2 weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see how the points are going to shake up as the season goes on, starting tonight here at the Rockingham Speedway. Dude, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Let's go ahead and take a look at your starting lineup and where everybody is going to be pretty much placed here. Coming into tonight's race here at the Rockingham Speedway, Zachary Taylor unloaded a fast hot rod here for this race. He's going to be one to definitely keep an eye out for. Wyatt Walker to starting 5th in this race. Russell Blaze starting in the 9th position. Very good running for him. Scrolling through more of your standings here. We talked about some of these drivers. Of course, Bobby McGuire making his Pepsi Cup Series debut starting in 13th. He might be somebody to keep an eye out on. He brought himself a pretty fast race car. Some other drivers that we noted that are pretty deep in the point standings that could have themselves some very good nights tonight. Nathan Stapleton is one. Sebastian Vaughn is another. Nia Steidel, you see her back there starting in the 29th position. She's going to have her work cut out for her if she wants to get up to the front and try to make some stuff happen. But should be a very interesting night here at the Rockingham Speedway. Of course, Noah Clifton starting in the 24th spot. He's also going to have his work cut out for him if he wants to get his 3rd Pepsi Cup Series win, especially right here at the Rock. Points leader Claire Phillips starting in the 40th position, so not a good qualifying run for her. There's Rhea Tikian starting in the 32nd position. And then we'll take a look at the provisional starters, which are both Walker Family Motorsports cars. They are Terry Walker and CG Holt. They will be rounding out the field in the 21st row. But there's definitely so much to expect coming into tonight's race. It's gonna be very fun. I to be quite honest, I can't wait, because this is just gonna be, there's so much that's just gonna be happening, and I cannot wait, because this race right here, I mean, this is going to be one of those races, especially early in the going, that's going to determine how the rest of the season is going to play out for some of these drivers. So definitely going to be something to watch out for. But until then, let's go trackside to get the command to fire these 42 engines as the drivers are strapped into their cars and they are at the ready. Should be any second now. Might be a little bit of a delay there. Do you want to apologize for that?
Drivers, start your engines.
But nonetheless, delay or not, we got the command to fire the engines. The pace car is going to roll off, and so will these 42 cars. Again, remember, 197 laps around this just a tad over 1 mile facility of Rockingham Speedway as they work their way down the Thunder Alley back straightaway. Getting set to go for their second race of the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series, the Verizon 400. It is going to be an action-packed night here at the Rock. Will we see our first caution flag of the season? What's the tire wear going to look like? We're about to find out as pace car drops off to pit road. Zachary Taylor and Wayne Lopez are going to lead him down to the green flag to get race number 2 started. Here we go from the Rock. They're not wasting any time back there. They are 3 wide as Rogel Dorn is in the middle. Campbell Marsh already in trouble. He's falling back on that way outside line, but up front, right out of the gate, it's Ryan Little who leads lap number 1 from Zachary Taylor. He managed to grab the lead away going through turn number 3, and he's going to break away with the top spot. Fight for 4th is on between Wayne Lopez and Ryan Gondillo. Russell blazing that 69, going to slide up in the middle of a 3 wide situation with Stephen Colon on the bottom. And it looks like Lopez is going to be in trouble here as he's now trapped up on that 3rd line. He's going to start dropping back like a rock. So as we're already starting to see that bottom and 2nd line, especially the bottom, that's the way to go. And I thought we were going to be 4 wide there for a second. Kyle Craven definitely was flirting with the idea, but thankfully he backed off. So we're still clean and green here on lap number 4 as Lopez went from 2nd all the way back to 14th in the matter of just 3 laps, coming around to complete lap number 4 and start on lap 5. So it looks like the top 7 are all single file till we get back over here. That's Tanner Parton in the 07 getting around Blaze, who has now been trapped up on that 2nd line, 3 wide, further in the back. Look at Nia Steidel in the number 6, making it 3 wide underneath of Sebastian Vaughn and Nathan Stapleton, who's trapped up against the wall. But remember what I said, Nia Seidel started back in 29th, and she had to have a lot happen, and she was going to make a lot happen, and so far she is. She's probably one of the biggest movers that we've seen so far tonight, picking up 15 positions within the first 5 laps. That is actually really impressive, and she's going to go for another one on Blaze. Move this number 6 up to the 13th position. I don't know what kind of adjustments that they made on this race car, but by gosh, this thing is a fast hot rod. So Nia Steidel definitely looking to turn her season around right out of the gate. Remember, she started off the season at the very bottom of the point standings. Definitely not where she wanted to start off. Didn't have a good best of starts, especially at the Daytona 500 last Saturday night. But here we are. She's already up in 13th position from the 29th starting spot. And she is definitely making a lot happen here early in the going. But definitely something that she'll have to be careful of is trying not to use too much of her stuff. I mean, you may have a fast race car, but you don't want to push it too early in the going because then you'll use up all your stuff. So definitely try to conserve it. Definitely try to save up your tires. But nonetheless, aside from all that, great performance early in the going for Nia Steidel here in this number 6 machine. Nine laps complete. Everybody's starting to check out into a single file formation here. As we're going to take a look at this fighting back over here. Here's Ray Atiki making his first Pepsi Cup Series start since July of 2023 at the Kansas Speedway. He originally drove for Elijah Gordon Incorporated in the number 69 Viagra Dodge Intrepid, but recently scaled back to part-time. Of course, Viagra went with him when he got signed on by Trinity River Racing to run part-time in this series, and so far, not doing too well here in this race. Of course, all the way back at the pack, dead last, but it's still very early in this race. Pit strategy could still come into effect, especially and really shake things up in the running order. So definitely might want to keep an eye out for that as this race goes on. Nathan Stapleton in the 97. We talked about him a little bit ago. He started, I want to say 15th in this race, or 13th. No, 15th. Unfortunately, he has slipped way back to the 35th position and is going to lose another spot here to Val Moscow. And maybe 2 now to Skylar Taylor as he falls back to 38th. So he lost 3 positions, and he's going to lose more here as he's put up top of a 3-wide situation with Jordan Sumner in the middle and Bruno Di Giacomo on the bottom. Not a good day for Appalachia Motorsports as they're 41st and 42nd right now, but again, still very early in this race, and anything could happen with pit strategy as Zachary Taylor went from 2nd back to 5th. He just got passed by Wyatt Walker, and it must have taken him a little bit to get him to regroup, and so far still hanging on inside of the top 5, but I wouldn't count Zachary Taylor out just yet. He's still got a pretty decent hot rod, and might see what he's able to do here within these next few laps. Meanwhile, your top 10 currently goes as follows here with 15 laps complete this time by, of course, Ryan Little, the race leader. Then running in 2nd, that's Wyatt Walker, who's trying to take a peek to the inside of Little here as they head back down into turn number 1. Ryan Gondillo is 3rd with Stephen Colon in 4th. Zachary Taylor, of course, we noted, fell back to 5th. Here's Bobby McGuire up in the 6th position, getting around Zachary Fitzwater, who now sits in the 7th position. Then 8th is Tanner Parton. 9th, Kyle Craven. And Wayne Lopez completes the top 10 here on lap number 17. As Wyatt Walker takes over the race lead. Kind of interesting of how we missed that fight for the top position. Should have seen it coming. Honestly, we should have kept track of it. But of course, new race leader. It's Wyatt Walker here in the number 19 machine. He'll pick up that 1 bonus point for leading a lap here at the Rockingham Speedway. So move Little back into the 2nd position. But of course, he did tuck in there pretty nicely. So I'd say not too bad of a job there. Let's check back in with Nia Steidl. Did I pass her? I did. Okay, here she is. Still, she picked up another position, so now she's up into the 12th spot, and 2 more positions. She'll be knocking on the door of the top 10. So things are looking pretty good for Nia Steidl as of right now. Meanwhile, change of positions here for the 13th position. Sebastian Vaughn in the 54, trying to get around Valkyrie Atikian in the 23 machine. He'll easily do that, and there's going to bring at least 4 other cars with him. That's Emily Anderson in the 4, Russell Blaze, Andrew Ramsey, Campbell Marsh, CG Holt, who started caboose on the field, 42nd. And has already moved up to 19th. So pretty good way to move up through the field here, as we're now coming around to complete 20 laps here at the Rockingham Speedway. Surprisingly enough, we have not had a caution flag just yet, but with tire wear, of course, in the mix, especially at a place like Rockingham, you don't necessarily want to abuse the tires too much because, of course, the more you do that, the more grip you're going to wear off, especially on the right side tires. And then you might slip slide a little bit, but I mean, it might be a little bit more difficult to do that because, of course, we're under the lights. There's cloud cover, of course. So, of course, the speeds are going to be higher. Grip level is going to be higher. The track temperatures are going to be colder as a result of all that. But basically, you know what I mean. Just the other way around, with track temps being cold and the grip levels being up. So tire wear is not going to be as much of a factor as what it would be under sunny conditions with a hot track surface, and also just drivers sliding around all over the place. Saw that fight there for the 8th position as Kyle Craven gets around Tanner Parton. Here comes Wayne Lopez to get around Parton. That would be for 9th, and Jerry Rose, whom I thought was actually going to secure the pole in final round qualifying, but ended up getting relegated back to the 4th position, 4th starting spot. But as far as this race goes, he has slipped back to the 11th position. Now going to try to see if he can knock on the door to get inside of the top 10. And it looks like he will here as they come down the front straightaway, heading back down into turn number 1. Gonna easily take over that 10th spot, and Steidl, like clockwork, is gonna move to the inside of Parton and try to take 11th away. Sebastian Vaughn not too far behind, and that number 54 is gonna follow close on the back bumper of the number 6 machine. It looks like Vaughn could have something up his sleeve, but I'm not 100% certain if he's going to be able to have the strategy to get around Nia Steidl, because Steidl has just been an absolute rocket ship from the 29th starting position, and Steidl goes up high just a little bit. That'll open up the door for Sebastian Vaughn to drive to the inside of Steidl. That's all that Vaughn needed. So now move Sebastian Vaughn up to the 11th position right about here. And so far, the only mistake that Steidl has made is opening up that bottom line, especially with other drivers that are near and that are actually getting the really good runs there through the corners. So as far as Steidl goes, I mean, she still has a really fast car. She lost 2 positions, but she can still rebound from this. I mean, it is still very, very doable. A good finish is still doable here for Steidl, as well as all these other drivers as well that are deep in the point standings, especially for Ryan Little, because Little comes into this race at the very bottom of the points bracket with, I believe, 1 singular point, along with a few other drivers as well. But so far, kind of just sitting here in the 2nd position, kind of just chilling out here as Wyatt Walker starts to check out. He has a 1.3 second advantage over the 27 of Little. Almost a 1.5 seconds, and it is a 1.5 seconds. Not sure what Wyatt ate for breakfast, but he is out of here. He's out of Dodge. Meanwhile, tail end of the field, that's where all the action is. Points leader Claire Phillips, unfortunately not faring too well here in this race. She's up top of this 3-wide ordeal. And whoa, she backed way off. I thought she was going to end up scraping the wall, but that killed her momentum. She's going to fall all the way back to dead last. So unfortunately, tonight has definitely not been going the way that Claire Phillips would have wanted. She's now all the way back in 42nd position. So very, very very lots of trouble here for the number 5 of Claire Phillips, who comes into this race as our points leader to start out. Of course, there's Nathan Stapleton. He's still back here from the 15th starting position. You also have Bruno De Giacomo. He's also back here after starting inside of the top 10. Jordan Sumner's back here as well. Not a good day for Appalachia Motorsports, but still, those pit stops are looming around the corner at some point. So, you know, we usually, from what we've seen with pit stops, sometimes it'll change the complexions of the field. I mean, change the look of the field. Especially as far as even the top 10 goes, because sometimes we'll see new players kind of just emerge from the ashes. It's happened before in previous, not just Pepsi Cup races, but also NRLA McDonald's Cup Series races. But should be interesting to see what pit stops are going to look like once we get down to that point. But it's going to be interesting. That's all I can really say there. Braden Perez trapped up on the outside by Andrew Miller. He's going to lose at least 3 spots here. He lost 1 to Miller. He's going to lose another 2 to Bonsignor and Ramsey, and another 2 to Joshua Cornish and Roberto Crown Jr. And then another 2 to Terry Walker and Noah Clifton, who wound up winning here back in 2020. When he drove what was essentially Chloe Bumgarner's team. But of course, Bumgarner, not a part of WRLA anymore. As far as even, I believe it was called Swiss Autosport, which was Bumgarner's team. That since then had disbanded in WRLA Pepsi Cup competition. Really good to see that Noah Clifton was able to find himself a home with NS Racing and has been around the team for what is now his second season. Lots of action going on over here. Here's Bonsinger getting around Emily Anderson here in the number 4. This is the fight for the 17th position. Bonsinger is going to get that. Remember, Bonsinger ended up starting, I believe, in the 29th, not 29th position, but he actually might have gotten himself a pretty decent starting spot, but he moves up to 17th nonetheless, so definitely something to keep an eye out for. As meanwhile, Bobby McGuire, it looks like he's going to fall outside of the top 10. And that's all thanks to Nia Steidl right there. Steidl knocked on the door of the top 10. She didn't just knock on the door. She kicked that door down. And in order to do that, she had to get by Bobby McGuire. And mission accomplished there. She brings 2 other Toyotas with her in Jerry Rose and C.G. Holt. So Nia Steidl, it's like I teased. She is a woman on a mission. Gained 19 positions since the drop of the green flag here within these first 38 laps, coming around to complete 39. And I gotta say, Wyatt Walker is in a zip code of his own. Almost 3.5 seconds ahead of new second place runner Ryan Gundillo as he's challenged by Stephen Colon here for the second position. They're 3 wide behind them. And it looks like Colon, I wonder if he's going to get the position here as they head down the back straightaway. He'll definitely get it here going into turn number 3 because Gundillo definitely has to get out of the gas here. Definitely brake a little bit harder than some of these other drivers. So now he'll move up. Well, of course he'll lose a position here. He'll slide back to 4th. With 40 laps complete here at the Rockingham Speedway, Zachary Taylor finds himself back up inside of the top 5. Well, actually, he's been consistently holding on to 5th throughout a good portion of this race, but Wayne Lopez finds himself a little bit further up in the top 10. Zachary Fitzwater still running in 7th. Steidl's going to move up into 8th. C.G. Holtz now trapped up on the outside under attack from Sebastian Vaughn here in this number 54. But lots of changes here in this top 10. Oh, no! Holt gets put into the wall by Sebastian Vaughn, and I believe pit stops are taking place. First batch of cars that come on down to pit road. That's Stephen Colon in the 25, followed by Ryan Little. Gundillo, also Zachary Taylor is in. Russell Blaze, Parton, Rowe, Skylar Taylor is in. That's the first round of cars coming down. Now Wyatt Walker, race leader, surrenders the top spot. He comes to pit road. Fitzwater coming in along with Wayne Lopez, Sebastian Vaughn, C.G. Holt, Bobby McGuire, and Nia Steidl. They're all in with Campbell Marsh, Roberto Crown Jr., Ramsey, Walker, Anderson, Clifton, the rest of the crowd coming on down pit road here on lap number 44. I would expect the last batch of cars to come on down and pit. And that is exactly going to be the case here as you see Kyle Craven lead Jerry Rose and others all down the pit road. Meanwhile, Stephen Colon looks like he might assume the race lead if he can get out ahead of Wyatt Walker. See if we can find him. There he is. And that's going to be the case. New race leader. It's going to be Stephen Colon here in this number 25. As he checks out from the 19 of Wyatt Walker. But I would say Walker might be able to run down Stephen Colon. It's a big might there. I'm not 100% making any sort of guarantees. But it is possible that it could happen. Just looking around, seeing exactly what the landscape of the top 10 is going to look like here once everybody gets cycled back up and back up to speed. And it looks like your top 10 now is going to go as follows. Of course, Stephen Colon, your race leader. Then running in second, that would be Wyatt Walker, just probably going to be a little under a second now, maybe a little over. Gained 1/100th there, Colon did on Wyatt Walker. But anyways, Ryan Little retains the third spot, Ryan Gundillo fourth. Then Zachary Taylor retains the fifth position. Russell Blaze moves up to sixth, then Tanner Parton 7th, Zachary Fitzwater 8th, Wayne Lopez 9th, CG Holt completes the top 10. And how about this? Nia Steidl, really good pit stop, finds herself just outside of the top 10, but her teammate Wayne Lopez and as well as the 17 of CG Holt, they're going at it here for the 9th spot. Bobby McGuire not too far behind here, as he'll work his way back into the third corner, going way high in the number 3 machine. But coming back around through turn 1 and 2, it looks like Steidl is going to be able to run down CG Holt and Wayne Lopez, possibly going to try to get around both of them. We'll see exactly what happens here, but it is going to be rather interesting if she is able to get around both of them, probably at the same time. But Holt and Lopez literally trading this 9th place position as if they're trading Pokemon cards. And you have to think about this. Nia Steidl and as well as Bobby McGuire, both in this race, they also collect Pokemon cards, ironically enough. So you would bet your bottom dollar that both of these drivers would get in on this action when it comes down to trading Pokemon cards or even trying to get them at any opportunity that they get. Meanwhile, up front, actually right here, might have ourselves a fight for 5th on our hands as Russell Blaze trying to knock on the door of Zachary Taylor to move up inside of the top 5. Great run here for Russell Blaze here in this number 69 in his second Pepsi Cup Series outing. Didn't really fare too well in the Daytona 500, but as far as this race goes, I'd say this is definitely a good rebound for him to start off his 2025 tenure, especially in his first Pepsi Cup Series season with Durrani Racing, also in their first Pepsi Cup Series season. A really good job here for Russell Blaze here in this number 69 machine, still trying to knock on the door of the top 5 on Zachary Taylor. Currently a one-time winner. He won at Michigan to kick off the 2023 season. Trying to get his second Pepsi Cup Series win here tonight at The Rock. He's got a pretty fast hot rod to do it. But I'll tell you another driver who's got a pretty fast hot rod. It's Wyatt Walker in this number 19. He is running down the 25 of Stephen Colon. He had been chopping away at the race lead ever so slightly, lap after lap, but well, Stephen Colon, you're going to have to kiss that gap that you had goodbye, because here's Wyatt Walker. He is now a third of a second behind Colon and is going to try to go for this race lead, heading down the back straightaway. Give it maybe another lap or two. And this number 19 is going to be to the inside of Stephen Colon here, coming off of turn number 4. It might be sooner than that here. Just under a quarter of a second is the difference between these two. Wyatt Walker has absolutely run down Stephen Colon, and now is going to try to maybe formulate some sort of way to get to the inside. Here he goes. Down to the bottom. Peaking low. Not able to make it stick there as they head back into turn number 1. Definitely something to watch out for here. We're going to keep our eyes on this. Of course, Walker was not able to make that pass stick. But this battle for the lead is still going on. We're going to keep tabs on this. With 58 laps complete from here at the Rockingham Speedway. Just in case if you guys are tuning in, we are 59 laps complete this time by. Not much has really changed. We've only had one green flag pit stop thus far that commenced on lap 43. That saw Stephen Colon come out with the race lead. Wyatt Walker was leading before the green flag pit stops, but Walker has had himself a pretty fast race machine. This number 19 Bass Pro Shops Tracker Boats Toyota Camry. This has been a piece of work here for Wyatt Walker. They definitely unloaded off the truck bad fast here tonight. Along with even Zachary Taylor and Bobby McGuire. Those two have also been really fast as well. But it looks like here, Wyatt is definitely really close to trying to get this race lead away from Stephen Colon. The only question is, when is he going to make this move to try to get around him? That's my question. Because he's got himself a good car. You would think that he would have already tried to at least get around him. Right? At least try to pull down to the inside and just send it going into turn number 3 and just take over the race and try to take over the top spot and just cover the position on Stephen Colon. You would think that, but of course, again, Wyatt is very, very patient. It looks like he's playing mind games here on Stephen Colon here, and I think he's trying to put Stephen Colon in this position to possibly make a mistake, so that way he can go for this race lead without having to use a lot of his stuff. Oh, Colon moves up high, but Wyatt Walker did as well. Just reminding Stephen Colon with peeking down to the inside that, hey, I've got the faster car. I can go around you anytime I want. He's still peeking that nose down low. 12 100ths right now is the difference between these two. With 64 laps complete. We'll see what happens here because this is going to be really, really interesting. This race for the lead here is definitely going to be very interesting. I want to keep my eyes on this, but I know there's definitely a lot more action going on, but I want to see this battle for the race lead unfold right here as Colon continues to go up high through the corners. But Walker's still peeking that nose out. He lost a little bit of ground, but not enough to lose touch of Stephen Colon. Walker's car is just absolutely bad to the bone fast, but we'll come back to him here in just a little bit. Looks like Zachary Taylor lost 3 positions as Zachary Fitzwater has managed to move up into the 5th position. Fitzwater started 17th in this race. He's already moved up to 5th after running pretty consistently in 7th. As meanwhile, up front, challenge for the lead is on. I knew this was going to happen, but here comes Wyatt Walker to the inside of Stephen Colon. Mind games are over. Wyatt Walker goes back to the race lead here on lap number 67. Starting lap 68 right now. 130 laps to go here from the Rockingham Speedway. Still a pretty long way to go here in this race. Anything could happen. We could still have a caution flag. We could still, I mean, obviously we still have more pit stops coming up, so we could see yet another shakeup in the running order. Nia Steidl works her way down to the inside of Zachary Taylor to kick him back to the 10th position. Across the stripe, mission accomplished there. Now it's trying to get clear of the 85, which she's going to do very, very easily. And Steidl is pretty much essentially right back to where she was before. Green flag pit stops took place there back on lap 43. Steidl is definitely brought down. Of course, I would have to believe that her car has been set up for the nighttime conditions because this race machine during the daytime was not the best. When we held qualifying sessions during the daytime, Steidl obviously was not very fast. I mean, she definitely She was at the bottom of the scoreboard, you know, at the earliest stages of the qualifying sessions in round 1. She managed to move her way up to 29th, but just wasn't enough to advance her way through the rounds to get up to the top 12 to fight for the pole position. But still, when we came down to the nighttime, Steidel's machine just absolutely just came to life, and it has shown here. Gained a total of 20 positions since the start of this race. Now trailing her teammate Wayne Lopez in this number 1, who's looking to try to get around the 07 of Tanner Parton. For those that may not know, Wayne Lopez is no stranger to the WRLA. Of course, when it comes to just the league altogether, back in 2017, he ran his first McDonald's Series race after competing in the AutoZone Amateur Series full-time, and he wound up winning in his debut at Watkins Glen. So, of course, Lopez, no stranger to winning, of course, but when it comes to the Cup Series, he's still trying to chase his first win in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series in his second season. His first, of course, was when he brought his own team to the WRLA, obviously, and then came over to EGI, and he hasn't been looking back ever since. Meanwhile, up front, 2 seconds now basically is the gap between Stephen Colon and Wyatt Walker ever since he took the race lead away. And I thought I heard a little bit of scraping, wall scraping, but I guess I might have just been hearing things. But nonetheless, even if we had a wreck, we stay green. Coming around to complete lap number 75 on the books, with Wyatt Walker continuing to increase his gap on the number 25 of Stephen Colon. Now it's up to about 2.5 seconds on Colon. Man, I'm telling you, this has definitely been a very fast race machine here for Wyatt Walker. You'd also have to say the same thing here for Stephen Colon. It has definitely been, I'd say thus far, it's been a really good night for both of these drivers here. But still a pretty long way to go here, nonetheless. Meanwhile, further back in the field, battle for third is on. Actually, no, Zachary Fitzwater's already worked his way up to third. Now this would be the fight for fourth as Ryan Gondillo manages to clear Ryan Little. And he's going to lose another 3 positions to Blaze, Lopez, and Steidel. I think we might have had, I don't know if we had some skid marks on pit road or something, but I thought I saw a little bit of dust. As you see Bobby McGuire getting to the inside of Zachary Taylor. This is going to move him up inside of the top 10. So good stuff here for McGuire, as he's going to try to cover the position on Zachary Taylor in this number 85 machine. I will say, though, as far as Naya Sato goes, I know we've talked about her a lot tonight, but this is the highest that she has been all night, up into the 6th position. What a great turnaround here for Naya Steidel. Now at this point, the only thing she can do here before this second round of green flag stop starts is to kick down the door to get inside of the top 5. So far, just trailing behind Wayne Lopez, hoping and praying that he's able to open up the door to get through to the top 5. All he's got to do is get by Ryan Gondillo and hope and pray that he stays up there. That's the only hope for Steidel to have an easy trip to get inside of the top 5. But then again, Steidel's going to do anything she can to try to get up to this point. Because, of course, remember, she went from 29th to 14th in the span of just 13 laps. So, of course, you would have to imagine that she's going to try to find a way to and around all the rest of the other drivers in front of her as she gets to the inside of Ryan Gondillo. And now she's up inside of the top 5. New second place runner, Zachary Fitzwater in the number 98 machine. This car has come to life. Here nearing the halfway point of the Verizon 400 right here at the Rockingham Speedway. Just in case if you guys are tuning in, we're getting ready for round number 2 of green flag pit stops here very, very shortly. The question is, who are going to be the first batch of cars that are going to come on down pit road here to start round 2? It's only just a mystery at this point because you never know who could come down pit road. Anybody could to start that cycle. So of course, Walker still holding on to a 4-second advantage now over Zachary Fitzwater, who gets around Stephen Colon, who gets kicked back to 3rd. Steidel and as well Lopez is actually pulled away from Nia Steidel. Looks like Steidel might have just backed off the corner just a little bit, probably to try to save up some tires. But then again, could be signaling that she is getting ready to make a pit stop, so might want to watch for that. And speaking of, here comes Ryan Little on down pit road. He's the first one down to start round 2 of green flag pit stops. No other takers in this group right here. A little bit of damage here I'm noticing between Valkyrie Atikian and Joshua Cornish's bumpers. At least a small buckle on their hoods. Probably might have been a little stack up on pit road. Stephen Colon, next one to come on down, followed by Zachary Taylor, Tanner Parton, Marsh, and CG Holtz. Those are the next cars to come on down. Appalachia Motorsports driver, of course, Caleb Rose, making his way down to pit road as well. Reagan Whitlock makes the move on down to the pits. Nia Steidel making her way down to pit road as well. She's going to go ahead and bring Ryan Gundillo, Russell Blaze, as well as Bobby McGuire and others on down to pit road. Crown, Bonsignor, Moore, Miller, Michael DeFeo, as well as the 41 Skylar Taylor, Phillips, Bruno DiGiacomo, Stapleton, Rowe. Race leader Wyatt Walker is in, so Zachary Fitzwater is going to inherit the race lead. But he will have to come on down pit road probably this time by. I'm trying to keep up with Fitzy. As Fitzwater is going to pick up that extra bonus point for leading a lap here at the Rockingham Speedway. He comes into this race inside of the top 10 in the points standing. Zachary Fitzwater, I meant to say, does. So Fitzy's definitely got himself a pretty good start to the 2025 season. Just trying to keep that momentum up here throughout the rest of the year. But so far, really good start for Zachary Fitzwater here in his season, here in the early goings of his season. Looks like Stephen Colon might have just taken the race lead back from Wyatt Walker, as well as even Zachary Fitzwater. With 88 laps complete, more than likely past that halfway mark, or at least we're nearing it. We'll be there right around lap 98 or so. Right around lap 97, 98. That's for sure. So Jerry Rose holds on to the race lead currently, but I would have to assume, yes, he is. He's on pit road right now, just wrapping up service on his race machine. So that will mean Stephen Colon will once again go back to the race lead. And chances are Wyatt Walker is going to start over his run to try to get back to the top position here on lap 90. Top 10 now goes as follows here. After we've concluded round 2 of green flag pit stops, Stephen Colon goes back to the point. Wyatt Walker gets relegated back to second, but watch for him to run down Stephen Colon. Ryan Little currently third, followed by Tanner Parton 4th. Nia Steidl completes the top 5, followed by Ryan Gondolo 6th. Russell Blaze 7th. Then 8th, Zachary Taylor. CG Holt 9th. Wade Lopez completing the top 10. So pretty much all the same players that are running up inside of the top 10. Of course, Campbell Marsh actually is up close to the top 10 as well. So he could potentially be a new player later on if he's able to get by Wayne Lopez. There's Zachary Fitzwater in the number 98 machine, getting relegated back to 13th. But I definitely would not want to count him out because he could still get back up inside of the top 5. Probably try to get back up as high as 2nd, but we'll definitely have to watch for that here as this race goes on and as we're nearing that halfway mark here in another 4 to 5 laps. It's pretty amazing to me of how the closest incident that we've had to getting a yellow flag has to be when CG Holt ended up getting bumped out of the way when green flag pit stops were getting started. That was the closest thing that we had to having a yellow flag, and we're 3 wide here for the 5th position. Nia Steidl in the middle, Gondolo on the bottom, and Ryan Little up top, but Little's going to have to back way off. And Steidl's going to lose a couple positions here after being trapped on the outside. So move Steidl back to the 6th position, but still running pretty strong here in this SKF Toyota Camry for Elijah Gordon Incorporated. Definitely still somebody to keep an eye out on. There's Eric Monaco in the number 31 machine. He is one of those drivers that's unfortunately 1 lap down. Possibly there might have been a little scuffle on pit road because Sebastian Vaughn here in this number 54, he's 5 laps down currently. So lots of trouble here, unfortunately, for Sebastian Vaughn. 5 laps down, and he is definitely out of contention here for this race win. But as far as him trying to log as many laps as possible before getting ready to go to Las Vegas here in the next couple of weeks, I mean, he could still do that. That's really realistically all he can do. See Val Moscow getting by the 19 of Wyatt Walker. This is not for official race position, but of course Moscow is the first car 1 lap down, so there is a pretty good chance that if he's able to run Cologne down, Moscow may be able to try to fight to get back on the lead lap. We're just going to have to wait and see here as we are nearing the 100 lap mark with 99 laps complete. It'll be 98 to go here in the Verizon 400. Race number 2 here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. So glad that you guys could be here with us here on this action-packed night. Of course, you know, with the racing that we're having here at the Rockingham Speedway. Very, very good action, to say the least. As Walker's going to try to get around Sebastian Vaughn on the outside. Remember, Vaughn still has a lot of speed in that car. He doesn't have a ton of damage, but still, it's definitely not exactly... not in the way that Vaughn would have wanted it, because Sebastian Vaughn, I mean, before he went 5 laps down, definitely was having himself a very good night. But unfortunately, it kind of just went south as he found himself in the 5 laps down position. But nonetheless, he can always rebound heading into Las Vegas next week. That's going to be a pretty good race as well, as we're going to be hosting that race next Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch with, of course, knockout qualifying being live on YouTube at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. So Cologne continues to hold on to that top position. And now there's 2 slower cars, 2 lap cars in between Cologne and Walker. But really, to be quite honest, I don't think that's going to be anything that's going to stop Wyatt from running down the 25, because look at that. I mean, obviously, as soon as I say that, he just already gained at least 13 100ths on the 25 of Stephen Colon. Now, here's something that's actually pretty interesting. All of the top 10, with the exception of Tanner Parton and as well as C.G. Halt, all of them are looking for their first career Pepsi Cup Series wins. Of course, Stephen Colon, he's been a part of the Pepsi Cup Series since 2020 on a full-time basis. He drove a number 4 Pepsi Chevy Camaro. Unfortunately, was not able to get his first Pepsi Cup Series win driving for a different team, a different variation of Walker Family Motorsports. And then we have the current variation of Walker Family Motorsports of course, Wyatt Walker here in this 19. He's been a part of WRLA since 2020, running on a part-time basis. Made a few races back in 2020. Unfortunately, none of them wound up being race wins, but went full-time in 2023. Still has yet to get a race win. Ryan Gondola's been a part of the series since 2017, and then, of course, scaled back to part-time in 2023. Still searching for his first Pepsi Cup Series win. Russell Blaze, Nia Steidel, both of these drivers in their, well, for Blaze, it's his first season in WRLA, trying to nab his first win in his second start. For Nia Steidel, this is her second season overall. She wound up racing here in the WRLA back 2 years ago, drove a number 87 Xbox Fortnite Dodge Intrepid. Unfortunately, was not able to close the deal when it came down to race wins go, but she's still trying to search for her first win along with Blaze. Ryan Little trying to get his first win, as well as the first win for Vision Motorsports in their first outing in WRLA Pepsi Cup competition as far as seasons go. Zachary Fitzwater still trying to search for his first win. He's been a part of this series since 2017. Drove for a various amount of teams. Of course, he drove for Fire Ice Racing for Emmanuel Hartnett. He's been driving for Nathan Stapleton NS Racing ever since 2020. So Fitzy definitely still trying to add a WRLA win to his ever-growing resume when it comes down to wins in the NR 2003 community. One of the very most successful drivers to do it. As well as Wayne Lopez. He won in the McDonald's Series, still trying to search for his first Pepsi Cup Series win. And then Campbell Marsh in his first season in WRLA competition, trying to deliver All American Motorsports, or currently known as American Motorsports, their first Pepsi Cup Series win is up front. Challenge for the lead is on as Wyatt Walker peeks to the inside of Stephen Colon here on lap 111. But able to just kind of, again, just play those mind games. Just let Stephen Colon know, hey, remember what happened in the last stint. I can run you down anytime I want. I can pass you at any time I want. Wyatt Walker definitely showing that he has the best car in the field here tonight at the Rockingham Speedway. But of course, Stephen Colon has himself a really good race car. Same can be said here for Ryan Gondillo. You could also say the same for Russell Blaze. Nia Steidel, another really great outing for her, of course. Still running inside of the top 5. Very nice job here for the number 6 of Steidel. Great job for all these other drivers that, of course, find themselves at the very bottom of the point standings, just trying to get some really good runs to catapult up the standings to where they want to be, to where they hope to be. That's inside the top 10. But realistically speaking, some of these drivers might be able to do it. But also, realistically speaking, they could wound up either top 15, top 20 in the point standings. At the highest, top 15. Keep an eye on Wyatt Walker in this number 19 machine, continuing to run down Stephen Colon to try to wrestle this race lead away. And almost every time that we've focused on other drivers, we've We've missed out on the fight for the top position. It's already happened on numerous times and numerous different occasions. But definitely for sure here tonight, they could very well change. Still now a third of a second between Walker and Cologne. So, of course, Wyatt's starting to fade back just a little bit, which is actually kind of interesting. Because normally we'd see this number 19 just pull up to the back bumper of the 25 of Cologne, but and just stay glued on the back bumper of Cologne's machine. But, of course, you might have to wonder if Wyatt Walker used up whatever was left of his stuff, or maybe might have just overcooked his stuff. But then again, that says a whole different story right there. Just absolutely drove to the back bumper of Stephen Cologne's race car, and definitely has a good opportunity at trying to nab this race lead back from Stephen Cologne. Glued to the back bumper. Here he goes into turn number 3. Lead change. Wyatt Walker, once again, goes back to the point. Here on lap 120. 119 laps complete. 88 laps to go. Or should I say 78 laps to go? Yeah, 78 laps to go. From here at the Rockingham Speedway, we should have at least 2 more rounds of green flag pit stops coming up here very shortly. And look at this. Remember what I said about Zachary Fitzwater saying that there's a good chance he could rebound? Well, here it is. He worked his way up to 6th position. He's all over Nia Seidel's back door. And possibly might try to go for this 5th position heading into turn 3. Not this time around. Stays glued to the back bumper. Drives immediately to the inside. And he'll try to take over that 5th position from Steidel. Easily is going to do it across the stripe. So move Fitzwater back inside of the top 5. So definitely from the looks of things. Zachary Fitzwater has himself a really good long-run car. It takes a little bit for his race machine, for his 98 machine to fire off, but when it does, Zachary Fitzwater is not somebody that you want to see in your back bumper, especially during a long green flag run. So definitely might have to keep an eye on Zachary Fitzwater. Could potentially be a sleeper pick for tonight, for the race win here tonight once we get down to that point. So Steidel gets kicked back to the 6th position, might fall into the clutches of her own teammate Wayne Lopez in the number 1 machine. Let's take a look further back in the field as you see why Walker start to check out on the ticker. Here's Bobby McGuire in the number 3. He's fallen all the way back to the 19th position. He's got Quentin Moore, Emily Anderson, and Abby Walker all on his back door. We very well might see another round of green flag stops take place here very, very shortly. So might want to keep an eye out for that. Here's the change for positions right here. Braden Perez going to get by Noah Clifton for the 15th or 16th position. And Bobby McGuire being trapped up in a 3 wide situation. A little bit of contact there between Emily Anderson and McGuire. That could have been very catastrophic. McGuire had to definitely get out of the gas there as he was pinned up against the wall. There really is little to no grip up there. So now he falls outside of the top 20. And here comes Zachary Taylor down to the inside. This is going to be the fight for 23rd. Definitely a lot has gone south here for Zachary Taylor, especially because remember he started on the pole for this race, and more contact being made as Sebastian Vaughn gets into him. But Taylor brings it on down to pit road. Tanner Parton is in as well. So round 3 of green flag pit stops is officially on here on lap 127. Any other takers? Stephen Colon makes his way down to pit road. Along with Caleb Rose in the number 59. Campbell Marsh comes in with the 27 of Ryan Little. He breaks off, comes to pit road. Same for Bobby McGuire. I would have to imagine there's going to be other cars that will come on down to pit road as well. I mean, obviously, there will be, but the question is, who else is going to make the trip to pit road? Ryan Gundillo is going to be one of them. Nia Steidl is going to be the other. The other will be Terry Walker in the 48 machine, followed by Roberto Crown Jr., Braden Perez, Michael DeFeo in the 60, Quentin Moore, Reagan Whitlock, Skylar Taylor. Looks like the rest of the crowd is starting to make their trips down to pit road. But there are other drivers that stayed out that have yet to come in and make their stops. Another driver with a buckle on his hood, that's Andrew Miller in the 96. So a little bit of damage here to Miller's car. I would definitely have to assume that there's some stack ups that are taking place on pit road. And that's probably where Cornish and Atikian also got their damage as well earlier in this race. So might have to be something to keep an eye out on. Lap 131 in the books. Well, starting on lap 131, actually, I should say. But, of course, Zachary Fitzwater still the race leader. I believe he might have just come back out onto the racetrack, or at least he might be working his way out right now as we speak. And I believe he did. No, actually, no. He's on pit road right now. He just surrendered the top position. And let's see who the race leader is going to be. More than likely, it will be the 25 of Stephen Colon. Once again, absolutely just demolishing the competition when it comes down to pit stops. He might just have himself an even bigger margin as there were skid marks. Wait a minute. Jerry Rose with a little bit of damage on his race machine on the driver's side door. I wonder what happened going through turns 3 and 4. Maybe some drivers ended up getting together when one of them was coming to pit road, the other one wasn't. I'm not 100% sure what might have happened, but Jerry Rose scored as the race leader, but of course he just made his way down to pit road, 3 wide. Sebastian Vaughn making some contact. Well, had some contact with Andrew Ramsey, as now Vaughn makes his way down to pit road. Look at this Hornets nest right here. Halt, Taylor, Perez, Crown, Walker, Rose, Moore, all bunched up in a little blanket. All of them going for every position that they can. Here with now 133 laps complete as of right now. Stephen Colon reassumes the top position, but with a little bit of a different look. Almost 5 seconds back. That's Tanner Parton in second. Then Ryan Gundillo third. Wyatt Walker slips back to fourth. Nia Steidl completes the top 5 with Russell Blaze in the 6th position. Then 7th is the number 38 of Campbell Marsh. Ryan Little 7th. Or Ryan Little 8th, excuse me. Blaze 6th, Marsh 7th, Ryan Little 8th, then 9th, Zachary Fitzwater, and Wayne Lopez rounds out the top 10. Here, coming around to complete lap 136. 61 laps remaining in the Verizon 400 here at the Rockingham Speedway. Race number 2 here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Pretty impressive to me of how we have not had a yellow flag here in this event just yet. But anything could happen here. We still have one more pit stop to go here in this race. It more likely is going to take place right around the lap 160 mark. but definitely going to be something to keep an eye out on here very, very soon. Well, not very, very soon, but definitely within the next 30 laps-ish or so. Change of hands here for the 12th position as Bobby McGuire gets passed by CG Halt. So move Halt up to the 12th spot after starting caboose in this race. Very good run here tonight for CG Halt. And a lot of good runs here tonight for a lot of drivers that, yeah, I mean, especially drivers that are very deep in the point standings to start. I'd want to definitely say, you know, of course, for drivers like well, one of them, of course, I mean, I have mentioned Nia Steidl. You know, she's having herself a really good run. She could definitely get her season off back on the right track here to start off and catapult her way up in the point standings. Unfortunately for drivers like Nathan Stapleton, for instance, he is not able to get his season started off on the right foot. He managed to have a good start to this race, but ever since then, he fell all the way back to the 32nd spot. He's one lap down right now, so things not looking too good here for Nathan Stapleton still. His troubles continue here in the 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series, especially 2 races in, so definitely not something that Nathan Stapleton wanted to see. Wyatt Walker also made the move on third here made the move on Tanner Parton for third. So now all that Walker has to do is just navigate his way around Joshua Cornish to get back into the second spot. And trying to chase down Stephen Colon for the race lead, which, very interestingly enough, looking at this camera angle, Colon passes by right here. And Wyatt Walker right now just passes by. Just as Stephen Colon makes his move back into turn number 3. So that goes to show you that Wyatt Walker is basically just an entire straightaway behind race leader Stephen Colon. But this is definitely not exactly where Wyatt wants to be right now, in the wad of cars, you know, in the sea of cars that are either all around him, that are either a lap down or just on the lead lap, like Ryan Gondilla, for instance. He is the last car that is on the lead lap that Walker would have to get past in order for him to go for the race lead on Stephen Colon. Take a look further in the back. Looks like Steidl is trapped on the outside. But the fortunate thing here for Steidl is that both Moscow and Atikian are not on the lead lap. They are both currently, as of right now, 1 lap down each in 38th and 39th. So she was able to have enough breathing room between herself and 6th place Russell Blaze to find a spot back in line and retain her 5th place position. Now possibly going to try to go for 4th here on Tanner Parton here once we hit the back straightaway back into turn number 3. Lots of blue over here in this portion of the pack. Of course, you have Val Moscow in the nationwide colors. You also have Ray Atikian in the Viagra car, Tanner Parton, then the Samsung Mobile, SKF for Nia Steidl, Prime Energy for Russell Blaze. A little bit further back, that trend of blue breaks off, but all blue cars here in this line. As Steidl has got a mirror full of Russell Blaze for this 6th position, heading back into turn number 1. So things right now definitely looking a little bit troublesome here for Steidl, as now she's going to get passed here by Russell Blaze for the 5th position. And Steidl's going to get kicked back to 6th. So, but still, Steidl's been hanging around the top 10 all night so far. And after starting in 29th and rebound and just absolutely bulldozing her way up inside of the top 5, top 10 area you definitely have to say this is a very, very good night here for Nia Steidl. Definitely something that she would definitely want to get her season back on track here early in the going. It's not a win. I mean, I know Steidl would definitely want to be set on winning here in the 2025 season, as she was back in 2024 in the WRLA McDonald's Cup Series. She came close to winning quite a few times, but unfortunately was not able to close out the deal. But hopefully it's not the same case here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series, and especially with EGI. And there's definitely a lot of variables that could go into all that's currently going on here for Nia Steidl. But as of right now, she's having herself a really good night tonight. And Wyatt, unfortunately, continuing to struggle to get around Joshua Cornish. He has not made any sort of move to get by the number 89 machine, who has that buckle on the hood. And Ryan Gondillo, I mean, of course, he managed to gain on Stephen Colon, but I wouldn't say it's anywhere near the rate that Wyatt Walker would. Excuse me. I wouldn't say it's anywhere near the rate that Wyatt Walker would, of course, because Walker's machine is definitely probably one of the fastest I've seen all night tonight. But what's interesting is that Claire Phillips in the 5 laid down the fastest lap of the race with a 23.497. And where's Wyatt, you ask, in that running order? 14th with a 23.554. So it's very interesting to me of how Wyatt's got the fastest car as far as, you know, handling wise and setup wise. But of course, Claire Phillips, our points leader coming into tonight, laid down the fastest lap of the race. Speaking of Claire Phillips, let's see where she is on track. Currently running in the 24th spot on the lead lap. So she has definitely rebounded from, you know, starting back in the 40th position, being trapped in the back, and definitely a good, I wouldn't say it's a great rebound, but definitely not too bad of a job here for Claire Phillips here in this number 5 to get herself back up into a position to where she can actually be comfortable and hopefully try to get inside of the top 20. But good job rebounding here for Claire Phillips in the number 5 machine. But I would definitely have to say she more than likely is not going to have the points lead leaving tonight here, heading to Las Vegas next week. It more than likely will be the number 38 of Campbell Marsh that will have the points advantage going into Las Vegas next Saturday. So that should be pretty interesting to watch here. Steidl was back in the top 5 there for a split second, but Zachary Fitzwater said not so fast. And he gets by Nia Steidl for the 6th position. Or for the 5th position, I meant to say. So Steidl once again gets kicked back to 6th, but and now here we go. Finally, Wyatt manages to get by Joshua Cornish in the 89. We still have at least one more pit stop to go coming up here very soon, and that more than likely is going to happen right around lap 160-ish. Right around the lap 160 mark, maybe a little bit past that, but still going to be very interesting to see how that's going to shake up the running order. It shook up a little bit, of course, with Wyatt Walker getting kicked back to the 3rd, getting kicked back to 4th, but, you know, of course, it took Walker a little bit longer to actually start this rebound as he makes the move on 2nd, on Gondillo for the 2nd position, and is going to try to chase down Stephen Colon before this round of green flag pit stops starts. This will be the final round of green flag pit stops before we settle who is going to win the Verizon 400 here at the Rockingham Speedway. We're, of course, going to have 2 different winners on the schedule. Of course, Martin Nixon won the Daytona 500 as a part-time driver, but, of course, He doesn't get credited with the 10 bonus points for winning, but those 40 points that he did get for first place, they will help out in the Manufacturers Championship throughout the 2025 season. But Nixon, unfortunately, was not able to make this race after celebrating his Daytona 500 win. So, of course, he's sitting and watching this race from the sidelines. But, hey, I don't think Martin would be complaining too much because, of course, he came off of winning the Daytona 500. And he's in a mood where, really, if you're a part-time car, you really don't have anything to necessarily lose other than, you know, just trying to help out the manufacturers that you're racing for in the Manufacturers Championship hunt. So, I mean, there is maybe a little bit to lose there, but as far as for you know, a spot in a full-time roster, there's definitely a lot to gain as Stephen Colon makes his way down to pit road to start his final pit stop of the night here at the Rockingham Speedway. Tanner Parton completes his service. He is down and away. Ryan Little, Campbell Marsh, they're all in right now, getting service done to their race cars. Wyatt Walker assumes the top position. But I would definitely have to say, he will have to eventually come on down to pit road. He's definitely not going to come in this time by. He stays out. Caleb Rose comes in along with the 51 of Ryan Gundillo. Nia Steidl this time around stays out. Moves up to third. Lopez ended up coming on down to pit road. Russell Blaze is in, along with Zachary Taylor. Roberto Crown Jr. is in. Quentin Moore, Bobby McGuire. Jordan Sumner is on pit road as well. More, and of course, more cars coming on down pit road. Race leader Wyatt Walker surrenders the top spot. He's in. Nia Steidl comes on down pit road to get her final pit stop out of the way. And then at this point, it's just a race to try to see who will win the second race in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series. Of course, McGuire ended up getting out of his pit stall in front of Nia Steidl. This might hurt her maybe just a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough to knock her out of the top 10 as far as the running order goes. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens here as we are approaching the 30 to go mark here in the Verizon 400. Fitzwater is in the number 98. Kyle Craven takes over the top position here on lap 167. See if we can find Craven. He probably might already be on pit road. Anderson is in, of course. Other drivers are making their way back out onto the racetrack. This time with 30 to go, Stephen Colon goes back to the race lead, and we might have ourselves a little bit more changes here inside of the top 10 once everybody cycles back around. Very interesting here. Very, very interesting stuff. Top 10 right now looks as follows. Inside of 30 laps to go here at the Rockingham Speedway. Stephen Colon reassumes the race lead. A second and a half back, it's Russell Blaze. Really great pit stop for him as he moves up into second. Ryan Gundillo in the third position, Wyatt Walker fourth, and the unfortunate thing is both of those drivers are 7 seconds back from the race leader. Well, at least Walker is. He's 7 seconds back. Gundillo is almost 3.5 seconds back. Tanner Parton completes the top 5. Followed by Campbell Marsh 6th, Ryan Little 7th, then Zachary Fitzwater 8th, Wayne Lopez 9th, CG Hall completes the top 10, 2 seconds back from the top 10. That is Nia Steidl in the number 6. So McGuire coming out in front of Nia Steidl. after his pit stop, as Steidl was trying to get into her stall. That definitely did hurt her a little bit. But I wouldn't say that Steidl is out of the running for a top 10 here, so we're just going to have to wait and see how quickly she is able to run down the 17 of CG Halt. Right now, there is a 2-second difference between both of these cars. So it is definitely not over for Nia Steidl to try to go for a top 10 here tonight. Coming down to it. 25 laps to go here at the Rockingham Speedway. And Russell Blaze is under a second from Stephen Colon as far as scoring goes, but that lead might have just grown just a little bit more right across the stripe. Indeed, it has. By 3/10, Stephen Colon manages to pull away from Russell Blaze, but that lap traffic is definitely not doing any sort of favors for Colon as Skylar Taylor gets by Claire Phillips, and as well as the 59 of Caleb Rose follow right on the back bumper, right into the tire tracks of Colon's machine. So there is still a little bit of hope for Russell Blaze to try to get his first Pepsi Cup Series win in his second official start. And just remember, as of right now, 8 out of the top 10 drivers are looking for their first Pepsi Cup Series win, all except for all the 8 of those drivers, of course, except for CG Halt, who won at Kansas in 2023. And then, of course, Tanner Parton, who won at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park also in 2023. And this is something that Blaze did not want. Kyle Craven to his inside. And that will mean Blaze is going to start falling back like a rock here. Closing in on the 20 to go mark here at the Rock. And Stephen Colon has just been absolutely unstoppable when it comes down to pit stops. Manages to get out ahead of all the rest, and has a really, and gets, and of course, gets a really good cushion over everybody. Unless if you're Wyatt Walker, and then of course Wyatt's just going to start running you down. But Wyatt Walker is running out of time. He currently is 5 seconds back from Stephen Colon. His only saving grace right now to try to pull himself back into contention would be to have a caution to come out. If a caution were to come out here within 20 laps to go, that would bunch the field back up, and we would have ourselves some really good close quarters racing. But as of right now, it's not quite over just yet. 2 seconds is the difference between Colon and Blaze as of right now. But Colon finds himself on the outside. That might be the thing that Blaze needs, but Colon managed to work himself out of that situation, but that didn't quite work out for him as Claire Phillips gets to the inside to get back on the lead lap from the 23rd position. And that will definitely allow Russell Blaze to pull up just a little bit more if he has no other cars around him, which is exactly the case. Had a little bit of a phlegm build-up there. Do want to apologize for that. But 15 to go this time by here at the Rockingham Speedway. And 2 of the Colon Motorsports cars are right on the inside of Stephen Colon. That's not something that the boss wanted to see. 2 of his cars going by, but that might be Colon's saving grace. Emily Anderson getting to the inside of Russell Blaze. But that gap is shrunk by a half a second. But it also might grow a little bit more because Emily Anderson got to the inside of Russell Blaze. And when you get up on that second line, we've seen it all night long. It can definitely harm your momentum almost dramatically. So now that gap has grown once again by another 0.2 of a second. Wyatt Walker moves his way up just a little under 3.5 seconds on the number, at least as far as the race lead goes. He's under 3.5 seconds behind Stephen Colon. He might be able to at least run down, I want to say Ryan Gundilla, at least Ryan Gundilla for third, but I just don't think he's going to have enough time to run down Stephen Colon here. He would have to hope and pray that a yellow flag comes out. If you are any driver that is behind Stephen Colon, you are hoping and praying that a caution comes out to reset the field and get them all bunched back up together, because that means it's going to be a good old sprint to the finish, and that would be something to watch for sure. Oh, coming down to it, 11 to go here at the Rockingham Speedway. Emily Anderson works her way to the inside of Stephen Colon, and that, of course, is going to help out Russell Blaze just a little bit. He's still trapped up on the outside line. Not going to let Caleb Rose get the advantage, or at least any form of opportunity to try to get back on the lead lap, at least not that easily, as Blaze might be just a skosh bit closer. Yes, just under a second with 10 to go here at the Rock. At this point, Russell Blaze is just going to have to hope and pray for a miracle here to happen. He's just going to have to hope and pray that Stephen Colon ends up having some form of a mechanical failure to happen if he's going to have any shot at catching this number 25 of Stephen Colon, but that might be game over. Alex Bonsignor has had enough, and he gets by Russell Blaze, bringing Valkyrie Atikian and Bruno De Giacomo with him. So that is going to be game over for Russell Blaze as far as trying to get back and trying to get up to Stephen Colon, try to catch up to him and try to pass him for the win. Now it's 2 seconds. That was 0.8 of a second lost right there for Russell Blaze. That is definitely very unfortunate if you're trying to go for this race win. But as far as for Stephen Colon, that might be all he needs to just cruise on to his first Pepsi Cup Series victory here at the Rockingham Speedway. 7 laps of racing to go from here at the Rock. It's also very impressive of how we've managed to keep it clean and green all night. I mean, not as far as, I mean, not really 100% clean, obviously. You know, we've had some incidents that have happened, but it's pretty interesting of how we've managed to keep it green for the whole night tonight. And it looks like Colon is just going to cruise on to his second, or to his first Pepsi Cup Series win here. He's just got to hold on for 5 more laps. 5 laps to go here at the Rock. Let's take a look further back in the field. Nia Seidels managed to find her way back inside of the top 10. Now setting her sights on Ryan Little in the 27th. In the 27, this would be the fight for the 8th position. And it looks like she's definitely going to have the drive. Definitely try to get a good entry into the corner. Maybe try to just cut low. That's exactly what's going to happen here. Little moves up, and that opens up the door for Seidel to take over the 8th position here. With 4 laps of racing to go, Nia Seidel has had herself an absolutely amazing night tonight. And she is definitely going to be leaving here with a very significant amount of points. And those significant amount of points are what she needs to catapult her way up through the point standings here tonight at the Rockingham Speedway, heading over to Las Vegas next week. Focusing back in on the race leader, Stephen Colon. He has just opened up that lead to at least 3 seconds on Russell Blaze here with 2 laps to go here at the Rock. It's been pretty impressive. It's been a really impressive night here for Steven Colon in the number 25 machine. His pit crew has been absolutely on top of it here tonight, just getting him out to the first place position and getting him those really comfortable gaps. White flag, final lap here for Steven Colon. And Colon has just had the strategy nailed down all night long. Back straightaway, final time. No competition all around him. Deal is sealed. They work their way through turns 3 and 4. Checkers are in the air. Steven Colon comes off the corner. He is a Pepsi Cup Series winner tonight at the Rock. Steven Colon wins it 4 seconds off of Russell Blaze, who finishes in the second position. Wyatt Walker comes home third. Zachary Fitzwater fourth. Brian Gundillo completes the top 5, followed by Tanner Parton sixth. Nia Steidel finishing in the 7th position after starting 29th in this race. You can't complain if you're Nia Steidel there, because, I mean, despite the fact that she was definitely wanting to go for a win, 7th place will have to do. I'd say that is a very big win in my book for Nia Steidel there. Finishing in 8th, that's Ryan Little. 9th will be Campbell Marsh, and completing your top 10, that would be Andrew Ramsey in the number 67 machine from 11th all the way down to 27th. They all finish on the lead lap, and we've had no retirees in this race. Everybody from 28th on down to 42nd, they all finished 1 lap down or more. The only driver that finished multiple laps down, of course, is Sebastian Vaughn, being 5 laps down. But what a race. 2 caution-free events in a row. That's actually really impressive from the Pepsi Cup Series camp. 2 races in a row, 2 that are caution-free. I mean, hey, what more can you say? Definitely a very good night. Definitely 2 clean weeks here for Pepsi Cup competition. But all in all, good stuff from here at the Rockingham Speedway. Congratulations to Steven Colon on nabbing his first Pepsi Cup Series win here at the Rockingham Speedway. Your point standings will be coming up next here pretty soon in the WRLA Discord. So if you're not in there, be sure to get into the WRLA Discord. If you are on Twitch, it should be ! WRLA. But as far as the YouTube premiere goes, if you are in the Discord, keep an eye on that Discord when this premiere ends. But next race, we will be at the Rockingham Speedway, at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, rather, for the running of the Pennzoil 400. 134 laps around. That's going to definitely be very fun. That action goes down on the 1st of March. At 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch, and then qualifying will be held 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the 28th over on YouTube. But with that said, congratulations to Steven Colon on nabbing the win here at the Rockingham Speedway. Have a great night, everybody. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you all at Vegas.